We live in a world of technology. We're always connected. Everything is based on technology. What do you do when your technology breaks down? You call Digital Solutions. Located on Wesley Street in Greenville, Digital Solutions Technology Partners is there to get you fixed up. From business support to home computer repair, Digital Solutions Technology Partners will get your tech issues resolved. Visit us online at www.techresolve.com or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/DSTPI. You can call our office at 903-259-6418.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we have no presentations. Next item is citizens to be heard. Citizens are invited to address the council on topics not already scheduled for public hearing. If you haven't already, please complete a citizen's comment card for the record and present it to the city secretary prior to the meeting. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. Our city attorney will advise you, so keep an eye on it as far as your time on there. And you should conduct yourselves in a civil manner. Now, the City Council cannot take action on items not listed on the agenda in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act. Concerns will be addressed by the city staff. They may be placed on future agenda or addressed by some other course of response. Carol, do we have anybody? Is there anyone who wishes to speak that didn't fill out a card? Okay, moving on. Item 6, consent calendar. Carol?
City Council meeting minutes from June 27th, 2017, and an ordinance authorizing a unit price construction contract with Tricon Services for 2017 water improvement project on Stonewall Street from Terrell Road to Mockingbird Lane.
Does anybody have any questions, comments, or corrections? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve as submitted.
So moved.
Holly, moved. Cedric, seconded. Please vote. And passes 7-0. Thank you. All right, next is a public hearing. Consideration and action on an ordinance abandoning 50-foot by 620-foot right-of-way located out by the old Dream Lodge addition. Steve?
Yes, sir. Do we have that? Sorry. We have a 50-foot right-of-way that's just off of the service road, right next door to FEC and American Iron. You probably don't even know it there if you hadn't seen it. But it runs 620 foot from the service road back to the end of Farmers Electric. I want to make clear here, it does not go all the way to Forester. It stops right at the line, 620 foot from Service Road to Farmers Electric. Farmers Electric, as y'all know, bought the old Dream Lodge and demolished that for us and has big plans to build a new office complex there. This 50-foot section actually separates the two properties. So what we want to do, we have no use for it. There's no utilities in it. It's just been there for years and years, so. Yeah, I can pass that around if you guys want to see it. The service road and the end of it is right here, and you can see the end of the FEC property. But they need to make that, we need to close that to give them that tie over to the Dream Lodge so they can make that one big complex out there. We did send letters out to the adjoining property owners that own it. I did get one back that was concerned about it. I talked to him, that was American Iron. I think he was under the impression that we were going to take some property from him, which we're not. We're just merely closing that 50-foot right-of-way. Had another concerned citizen come in today that owns some property on back behind FEC, and I believe he's here to talk, and he probably will. He had 87 acres. He was concerned that that right-of-way went all the way from the interstate to Forester. It does not. That's why I want to make clear that this does stop at the end of the FEC line, and they needed to tie that complex together. And we have no use for it. None of the utilities have any use for it. And we recommend that you guys close it.
Okay.
Be happy to answer any questions.
Is there any questions? All right, if not,
I do have a question, sorry. Are you sure you conducted title work on this to make absolutely 100% certain that the right-of-way is exactly as is listed on the map?
Yes.
And as by the needs and bounds description? Who conducted the title work?
I don't know that we've done title work. We do have a plat though of it.
How was that?
Ms. Kocher, our standard procedure is that we abandon a right-of-way, and then the interested party can go and get a quick claim deed on it. So once, as a standard procedure, we make sure there is no utility, we have or our franchisee have, and then we come to the council. Once the council approve the abandonment resolution, our responsibility ends. Is on whoever wants to take that property, they go request a quick claim deed.
So we don't really know who owns this property.
We do own it as a right of way, but we haven't done a title search or anything like that. We don't do that. We just abandon it. The burden is on the person that wanna get a quick claim deed or take over. Our responsibility ends at abandonment.
Thank you.
When we abandon the right-of-way, we've looked at that issue before. Basically, all we do is cite to the specific paperwork that gave us the right-of-way, and we say, we abandoned that. So
We're
it'll
protected, the city
never-
is protected.
Yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
Okay, thank you.
any other questions? At this point, I'll open it as a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this issue may address the council. None heard. Is there anyone against that wishes to speak? Please come up and give your name and address, please.
I have about just 3 sentences to explain why I'm here and who I am, and one question really regarding the action proposed tonight. And first, I want to say I appreciate Matthew meeting with me this afternoon and inviting me about the whole deal and satisfying many of my questions. But my name is Christian H. Siebenhausen Jr., and my family and I have owned for at least 50 years and occupied at least part of the family about 100 acres on the north side of Forrester, which is on the north behind the FEC property concern. We are concerned about the continued expansion of the FEC northward from the I-30 location onto Forrester. In fact, they even have purchased a single-family lot over there, but as I understand it, but have not occupied it, and its potential effects on our properties. I'm a resident of Commerce, but I've been owner of properties in the city of Greenville and the county for years. My question really it's not too significant, but it does concern the proposed item. From what I understand, FEC properties over there in their continued expansion are appraised at maybe as much as $5 million. I wonder about the effects on taxes on those properties as they continue to grow. This is only about 7/10 of an acre, I believe, that they're talking about here. But I'm wondering, the question is, do they pay full taxes? Are they a tax exempt organization? Or is the continued growth of their properties affecting the county and city tax rolls? Thank you.
I have no idea on an answer on that. Anybody?
Mayor, I don't believe the expansion of facility by FEC has anything to do with the valuation of adjacent property.
And
For
it's not
anything-
expanding north.
So,
It's not expanding north either.
well, FEC is expanding their operation because of deregulation, and they're gonna build an office complex, they are adding staff, but the adjacent property, and we sold them the Dream Lodge, which is a big chunk of the project. But I don't believe the tax appraisal district is gonna tax anybody for the valuation of the adjacent property.
That's not my question, sir. My question is, do they pay full taxes on the appraised value of $5 million? And if they keep acquiring property, they'll be like churches and other tax exempt or organizations that have an agreement with the city or county about reduced taxes for some period of time. Is it gonna reduce the number of taxes as they continue to grow that are payable to the county? and the
That's
city?
up to the chief Hunt County appraiser, has nothing to do with the city. He's the authority to levy taxes on a property or any development. That's not the function of the city government.
Anybody else wish to speak against? If not, I'll close the public hearing.
I just have one question. How far is the end of that from Forester? And
I'm guessing, I don't have the full map here, but roughly half that. I told him today, I thought it looks like it's 1,100 to 1,200 foot from the frontage road all the way over to Forester, so probably that much again before you actually get to Forester itself.
is there ever a foreseeable reason in the future where we would need some access from the frontage to Forester? Because I think, you know, you've got Lamar down, I guess, farther east, and then you go all the way up to, I mean, there's just not a lot of places to cut through.
I can answer your question. They already own a piece of property that is on Forester Street.
Yeah, they do.
And so our concern was, they're already on Forester Street. And it's currently zoned residential, and so they haven't made any move to occupy it. But that is a concern.
You're talking about right away.
I'm just thinking, is there ever, you know, you're basically stifling development behind there because there's no way to cut through and get back to Forester. And that may not be coming in the next.
But see, there's not a right of way that doesn't extend from this point over, so there's no right of way there now.
Right.
FEC actually owns right up to the line, so we couldn't go across them anyway.
But it's easier to
no.
get half of a right of way than a
Right.
full right of way.
Why did we grant it in the first place?
Why did we what?
Why did we grant an easement in the first place?
I don't have
Had to
any.
be a reason for it at one point in time.
I probably wasn't born then. It's old. It's been there a long, long time.
Why did we require someone to give it to us?
That's right. Somebody
That
had to give
goes,
it.
yeah, that's a good question, but that goes probably 50 to 100 years ago.
Yeah, it's a long
We
time
don't
ago.
know what was the city planner or mayor at that time was thinking to create that.
We actually have that. That's all over town too. Stop by the office sometime. I say it's just. It makes no sense to me. Some of the places we have it, it's just
Well,
everywhere.
and there's a lot of them I have no problem abandoning. I just, when you have it's hard to get from a frontage
Right.
road back to the feeder road behind it, and you look at from our frontage road over to Roy Warren, there's not a lot of cut-throughs there, and as that develops, and it gets expensive. If we wanted to come back years later and say, you know, we really want to get through there, that's pricey real estate to condemn. I want to be a good neighbor to FEC. I'm not against it.
It's been there for a long, long time, and it could sit there for another 30 years.
Oh, yeah.
So may I ask Mr. Stephenhausen, are you in favor of abandoning this easement, or are you in favor of keeping it status quo?
I don't know until you answer my question about taxes.
I don't think anybody up here knows the answer to that. I don't know the answer to that.
I don't think FEC makes sense.
I'm just concerned about if they are a tax exempt organization, I don't know whether they are or not, or pay reduced taxes. Are we losing, this is a small piece, but it could grow.
Does this impact your property in any way, one way or the other?
The fact that they own a piece of property on Forester that is zoned, I think, single-family dwelling already really bothers me.
Yeah.
Because it could affect all of the zoning of the families, the values property and a lot of traffic of heavy vehicles coming down Forester. If it ever gets to the point where they achieve an entrance from that side.
Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion I'll close the public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion to approve it, approve the abandonment as suggested.
Could we possibly table this until Mr. Stephenhausen's questions are answered? They're a long-time family here who have made significant contributions to our community, both in education and philanthropic efforts throughout this entire county.
Well, my question then is, are they concerned that FEC is there and they own property over on the other road, which really has nothing to do with this? Or are they concerned that by giving this right of way so they can go ahead and finish building their plant? I think his concern is, are they paying taxes or not based upon what's there? It's not a matter of where they expand. Am I correct in what you're asking?
I asked about the tax consequences. That's the only bearing on this matter that I have at the moment.
So it has nothing to do
But I have
with,
great concern about the continued growth of the acquisitions of property and the potential of that future.
Why would you think they're not paying taxes? I mean, I don't, surely to goodness you're paying taxes, aren't they?
I would assume so, but I'm not, I don't have the
Yeah, I'm
answer.
not-
I can't
yeah,
say.
If they're a 501c3, then they may not be.
what?
I don't, if they're a 501c3.
Yeah, but
How could
they're
they be?
non-profit.
I mean, that's-
They make a profit.
That's what I
They're
think
for
is
profit.
true, but
Sure.
I'm not 100%
They're
sure
a
about
private company.
that.
They're not a profit.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, I second, if you made a motion to table this until we further, I'm sorry.
You go.
I'll second your motion to table this until we have some definitive answers for this gentleman or these gentlemen.
I'm trying to look it up, but my computer is now frozen, so I'm sorry. It's just frozen.
Got some internet issues.
Okay, just as a clarification that was explained to me, is if we have it within the same meeting, then we can table it. But if we're gonna put it in a different meeting, it's supposed to be called postponed.
Postpone. Thank you.
Okay, I'll second that motion,
Okay.
if it was a motion.
Yes, it was a motion to postpone.
All right, so I've got a motion to postpone this till another meeting, and we can get an answer on the taxes.
Mayor, what's the question from the staff? Can that be clear? What are you requesting from the staff to bring to
The
you?
question is whether FEC pays taxes.
That's all? Okay.
As far as I know, that's.
Is that the question?
Is that what we're trying to find out?
Question?
Well, on the comptroller's website, it says a nonprofit electric cooperative is exempt from sales, franchise, and state and local hotel occupancy taxes. But it doesn't say anything, at least on this portion of the comptroller's website, about whether or not they pay ad valorem taxes. And I assume that that's what we're talking about, is ad valorem property taxes.
We get that, but I want to make clear, the question from the council, from the staff is whether or not FEC pays property tax.
That's my understanding.
Is that the
I'm
question?
gonna have that in just a second.
My question is not only do they pay taxes, do they pay at some reduced rate than if that property was occupied by other parties?
They don't,
No.
they don't have it, they're reduced rate.
Okay, so
They,
as I would like
Just
to,
gonna look it up.
I've got it right here. They paid taxes of $150,000 in 2016. That's about what they've been paying since 2011.
And that's property tax.
That's ad valorem property taxes to
Okay.
Green Polson County, Hospital District, and ISD.
Right. Yeah, they are for profit, they are electric company,
And they're not under an abatement or anything like that.
Does that answer the question?
Did it answer the question?
Satisfactory, Mr. Stevens?
Yes,
Okay, do you have any objections now to the easement, or, I keep using, I'm sorry, right of way, I keep using the word easement,
no,
pardon me.
that's the only,
Right of way.
that's the only thing that you could question, I think.
Okay, are you satisfied? Okay, all right, then I withdraw my request to postpone.
Okay. So, back again, I will entertain a motion to approve the action to abandon this strip of property. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
As you did that, we're about to kill it. Holly, second? Okay, please vote. And it passes 7-0. Thank you. Item 8A, consideration and action on an ordinance repealing Chapter 8 article on the liquefied petroleum gas.
All right, I want to give you a little bit of background here. In 1980, the legislature gave authority to the Railroad Commission to regulate LP gas, but it wasn't exclusive authority. Cities and counties could still enact their own ordinances that were more restrictive. However, about 6 years ago, in fact, in 2011, 6 years ago this September, a new law took effect, and basically the legislature did away with all local control. In fact, it's really short. It's only 2 sentences long. It's called the effect on other laws, basically saying that the rules and standards promulgated and adopted by the commission, which is a railroad commission, under this section, supersede any ordinance, order, or rule adopted by a political subdivision related to LP gas. This sort of flew under the radar, and many cities in Texas, in fact, one of the attorneys that I've talked to that I'll tell you about in a second thinks that there's over 350 cities in the state, didn't go back and change their laws because this kind of flew under the radar. There's a second sentence in here. That was the first sentence. The second sentence says that cities can request higher levels of restrictions, but only if they can prove that the more restrictive rules enhance public safety. So basically 6 years ago, that change was made. Our ordinance automatically became inappropriate. It's not legally effective because of this section of the statute. About 4 or 5 months ago, the city of Greenville was sued along with 13 other cities. We made quick contact with the plaintiff's attorney to see what they wanted, and the plaintiff's attorney represents the LP Gas Association. They basically said that they'll immediately non-suit the city, which means that they'll dismiss the lawsuit. If the city repeals its current ordinance and basically enacts this language, which is basically adopting the LP gas safety rules that are promulgated by the Railroad Commission. If we don't do this and they move forward the lawsuit, we can probably go into an executive session and talk about the consequences of that, but there are no good reasons to not do this, and there are several good reasons to do it. I had set this up about a month and a half ago on the agenda, but then I pulled it back because I got a call from one of the city attorneys saying that we better watch out because the LP Gas Association wouldn't really dismiss us from the case. And so I asked Carol to not even put that on the agenda. But then I called back to that attorney and the other attorney that was involved along with her. And the reason the LP Gas Association didn't dismiss the case against them is because they didn't adopt this. They just went through and struck out some changes that they thought would probably work. which was not the deal, and they admitted that. And then I talked to the LP Gas Association, and he put in writing multiple times now that they will dismiss the city if we adopt this. Basically, the effect of this is that there will be no city regulation whatsoever of LP gas. And that obviously LP gas is a direct competitor with natural gas. And so the other part that I did before bringing this to council was I got in touch with Atmos because we have a franchise agreement with Atmos. And we have numerous agreements with Atmos actually. And I asked them, I told them what was happening. I told them we're potentially going to present this to council to adopt an ordinance that would deregulate in every way LP gas, other than the regulations that are put in place by the state, like you can't have a tank in your front yard. But that could have a clear financial effect on Atmos, on their franchise agreement with us. And so I asked them if there were any notice requirements. And if there were, I wanted to give them notice. And they came back in writing, told me that based on their contractual review, that there's no additional notice requirements that the city hasn't met. So I'm suggesting that the council adopt this ordinance because of the pros and cons we talked about. But I also think down the road, that there are a group of, I think, 6 of these cities that have adopted this ordinance and got out of a lawsuit, but they're now all working together to go to the Railroad Commission and ask for stronger or more strict rules about this kind of gas in cities around our size. Well, our size and bigger. 2 of the cities were Houston and El Paso. And so that's something that we can do down the road because of that second sentence. So I can answer any questions about the contents of the ordinance at this point.
Any questions? Okay. If not, I'll entertain a motion to go ahead and cancel out our ordinance or our articles on liquefied petroleum gas. Do I have anybody making a motion?
I move that we cancel our obligations and adopt this ordinance.
Okay. John, do I have a second?
Well, before anybody seconds, what's said in this motion is pretty important. And the motion, if you will reform it to just say, I move that we adopt this ordinance, I don't want to, when you talk about canceling something or changing it, that could have other effects. And so if you could change your ordinance just to say, or your motion just to say that you move to adopt the ordinance, that would be best.
I amend my motion to say we adopt this ordinance.
Second. All right, that was Brent. Please vote. All right, passed 7-0. Thank you.
Can we get notice of lawsuits when we get sued from now on? I don't know that I know about this until the agenda packet.
Yeah, I mean, we need to, basically my understanding is I send notice of those lawsuits to the litigation committee, which I did do, but if y'all want to change those, how we do that, then that should be a item for the agenda.
Okay, I thought what we were doing is you were keeping the litigation committee informed of activities, but if we sue or are being sued, the whole council would know.
They're not really written like a standard operating procedure, and perhaps I should do that and then let the council look at that.
Because I think the litigation committee needs to stay abreast and keep up with projects as they're going along. But if we get sued or if we're suing somebody, I think the council needs to know.
Sure. Well, we can put that on the next agenda. I can put a standard operating procedure together for litigation-related things.
All right, moving right along to item 9, resolution, consideration and action on a resolution adopting the goals and objectives for 2017-2018 in your packet. And I sent around earlier my interpretation of what everybody was trying to talk about at the last meeting as far as your goals. And I will open it up for any discussions anybody's got.
Mayor, I'd like to bring something up on goal 3 for right now, where it says reduce the current tax rate commensurate with reasonable financial management principles with the goal of actually reducing taxes for our citizens. That is still a goal of mine, but before I want to go very far into saying reduce, I would like to be sure this tax roll is certified and know exactly what we've got as far as income coming in, more than just the estimates that we've got right now.
I guess I'm gonna have, I don't understand, because you're never gonna know exactly what you're gonna have coming in
Until later.
because
Right.
you're gonna, it's based upon an estimate for sales tax and the number of people paying their property tax. You're not gonna
Right.
have a definitive number, so I think I'm misunderstanding.
I still want to, I would love to see the rate go down. I would love to see that, but I want to stress right now at this point in time, and I had it as one of my goals, that was one of my goals right there to reduce. I had that word in mind for sure. But I want to, and I'm not backing up, I just want to say, I want to be sure we've got the funds coming in. And again, it depends on several things. So how we word this may be a question.
I think it's a worthy goal, whether we can accomplish it or not.
So I just want to stress that we may not even meet that. I don't know if we can or can't.
Well, at the current appraisals, which are not quite 10%, most of them are running 15 to 20% up. I don't see why we can't make it.
I just want to see the numbers. I haven't seen numbers yet.
But mine went up to about 18%.
Well, the thing that,
The numbers.
one of the things that I looked at on this, did anybody else have comments they want to bring up? Okay, when I looked at maintain the tax rate, as we had last year as a goal, to me, that's a budget item that we're gonna decide on when we pass the budget. It's not a goal that we're trying to set the staff, go figure out how to accomplish this. So in my mind, things like, the pay-as-you-go, the street budget, increase it by 200 and maintain the tax rate. To me, those are things that we're going to decide at the time we approve the budget. Things like work on cleaning up Greenville or increase the number of code enforcement. That may be a budget thing too. But look at a plan to restore more at the JLU pool and things like that. I think, in my mind, that's more of a goal that we're setting and telling the staff we want you to do. And that's just kind of my, I don't want to see us set a goal and then we say, okay, we passed the budget, now we accomplished half the goals.
So it's,
Yeah.
we'll be sure we're all on track. That we've got to get hard numbers, and it's where we are.
But in my take on there, if we look at the goals that we have, I looked at 1, 2, 5, 6, and 7 were things that were identified as we would like to see these continue. And then there was increased code enforcement, establish a veterans assistance and family recognition program, reduce the road vision restrictions, which is trees hanging down and bushes blocking, increased drug enforcement, identifying closed drug houses, things like that. And I think you've all got the list on there. So I'll open it to discussions about what you folks want.
Two of my goals, well, I submitted my goals late because I missed the last meeting. Two of my goals, one of them was to adopt, it goes, I think, a little deeper than just clean Greenville. We have an epidemic of lots that aren't mowed in the city. And a year ago, myself and Cedric and James met with city staff and the city attorney to see what we could do about that. And it's kind of an intractable problem. I've been talking to the city attorney about it, and what I'd like to do is I'd like to, we kind of ran up against, I guess you'd say, a brick wall, for lack of a better term. And I'd like to revisit that, the idea of revising some of the ordinances and see what we'll do. And I know you mentioned to me recently, well, that's just a part of Clean Greenville, and I understand that. But I think one of the things we need, I'm aware of a few lots in town that have been cited already. They've been mowed. By the time they get mowed, it's time to mow them again. I'm aware of one lot that's probably been cited at least 4 or 5 times. It seems to me that the fines for that should be punitive and they should be enforced. And I think until we do something about that, I think that's a first step when you talk about clean up Greenville. I think that's a good first goal. The other thing that I'm interested in is developing an approach that will lead to the revitalization of downtown Greenville. Well, that was a goal last year, and I don't think we ought to be adopting goals that aren't actionable or that we don't take any action on. And I'd like to see us, if we adopt goals, I'd like to see to make sure that we are adopting things that are achievable in that year, or at least, obviously you can't revitalize Greenville in a year, downtown Greenville, I should say, in a year. But I do think that we should be making some progress on that goal. We should have, I think Ms. Gosher has requested some planning efforts to be done, or we've agreed that we want some planning efforts. I'd like to see, if we adopt a goal, I'd like to see us make some progress on that goal that year. That's the only thing I'm saying. And I think we have, maybe there are too many goals. I don't know how many of these are actionable, but I'd like to see us get back to 5 or 6 or 7 goals that are actually can be achieved instead of a smorgasbord of 15.
Well, I think,
And that's not to diminish anybody's goals, but I just think it's unreasonable to think we can put 20 goals on the board up there and hope to achieve those, so.
yeah. I think though that part of what you talked about was we need to redo the ordinance and maybe make the fines punishable and things like that. That's something that the policy committee could do. That's not something we have to do within a goal. But we could include that in something like code enforcement, and whether the city decides they need more people, they need to revamp how they go and look at these places or how often. I think that's something we can put as a goal in my mind. But I agree with you, because we've got areas in our neighborhood that you know, I wish the people would mow their lawns a lot more, because when it's up waist high, especially.
Well, I think this particular area you're talking about is going to require some significant change in order to make it actionable, I guess you might say. And it really starts with how things are reported, how they're cited. I don't mean to get off on this single issue, and I know the committee, but Cedric and James and I worked on it, and we really wanted to get something done about it. And we found out that it's not as easy as you say. I mean, it's not as easy as you think it is. I just thought, well, we'll meet in 2 meetings, we'll have something done. Well, we got nothing accomplished, really. And I think it really gets to what a lot of the basic issues and what we can do. And I've asked the city attorney to start looking at that, so I don't know if he wants to comment on that.
Well, just very briefly, I mean, it's not really on the agenda, but as far as setting a goal, I think that's a achievable goal to increase the code enforcement. Jerry and I talked about some initial ideas and some tweaks to ordinances. There is a brick wall, obviously, with some things that are state code requirements, but I think that goal, if it becomes one of the council's goals, is going to be achievable, at least in degrees.
Okay, let's.
City manager has something to say.
Pardon?
City manager wanted to say something.
Mayor, I have a question. Can I get some clarification on goal number 6? It says, continue to develop and expand the new splash pad area consistent with plans submitted to the city council this past year. Can the council be specific, like we said, we're gonna do as much as we can in-house? Or just go borrow $3 million and complete it? This is not, so I think we need some kind of qualification or clarification saying, because when we submitted the plan to you, we said, okay, we're gonna chip away from it, and that's my intention. But it might take 4 years, 3 years, 5 years, or if we're gonna follow the plan as submitted to you last year, we are talking about a mega project.
I think that's why it's important to leave some of these budgetary things in the goals, because if we just tell the city manager, continue to expand the sports park, continue to expand J-Lou, clean up the city, revitalize downtown, and we don't tell him, and do that while you're decreasing the tax rate, then it doesn't, I mean, we can accomplish these with money, but we're telling him, I think, first, we don't want the tax rate to go up, and we really do want to try to go down. And I think that's why it's important to leave that budgetary goal in there, even though it's something we can accomplish on September 1st or October 1st or whatever the date is. Because I want to see these things expand, but I want to do it in a fiscally responsible way.
The goal he's talking about was my goal. I don't know if other city managers or the other city, other members of the council submitted that goal, but you did present plans to us for a plan to continue to revitalize that, and I didn't know, I didn't expect to borrow $3 million to do that. I
Well,
assumed
this
that we were gonna do
language,
pay as you
what
go.
I'm saying though, this language is not clear that, is the goal of the council to do it in-house, chip away from it, or do the plan at once?
Well, I thought the plan you presented was chip away at it.
Okay, good.
That's what I said.
Well, I mean, we had one item that said, add more features to J-Lou Park. I mean, we're not saying you gotta do it all.
I thought you had an amphitheater plan,
Yeah.
various other things that we were gonna do as we could.
Well, again, when I read that, is kind of vague. And then the other issue that Councilmember Money brought up is very good issue. We on downtown issue, of course, we told you we applied for it, $1.2 million grant. We are doing a lot of stuff. But I think Councilmember Gocher mentioned, we're gonna bring to you a qualification statement. And then the council has to decide if they wanna spend between $50,000 and $100,000 adding to the budget as a line item. Otherwise, the goal is not gonna be clear whether or not the council is going to commit as a majority to a tune of $50,000 to $100,000 to do the evaluation or analysis of what downtown should be, or basically that's the initial investment, and once the report is going to come, it's going to be millions of dollars. That's how this things is going to play out, you know.
Go back to this, the statement I made about the tax rate. Old conservative me, a lot of people probably got shocked when I said that. I'm hearing tonight in the work session, I'm hearing right now some pretty large expenditures we're looking at making. I think the public needs to know, I hate to say we're sort of double talking to sit up here and have a goal to reduce the tax rate, and then we're talking about all these goals. I think we need to inform the public of these goals. That's what we're doing right now tonight. I know they realize that. But then again, if we're going to do all these things that we're looking at potentially doing, this reduction, the public needs to know that to get all these things we're trying to do, it's not going to be reduced. And I want the public, I want feedback from the public right now. Do they want the tax rate reduced or not? Do they want these things brought into the budget? We had fire, we had police, we got splash pad, we've got a lot of things we've looked at. They're all worthy. But reducing the tax rate's worthy. We need public input. I'd like to get a lot of public input back in the next couple of days and weeks. Where do we go with this? And that's where right now I'd say maintain or reduce or maintain on that number 3. Because to sit up here and tell the public that we're going to reduce it, it's one of our goals to reduce, and yet we're going to do all these other things, I can't see this fitting. We need to clarify this to the public.
Yeah.
That's why I'd say maintain or reduce or maintain, and get feedback from the
I'm
public.
just expecting, we've got new construction, we've got increased property values on our existing property. I have a feeling we're going, and we have a really nice sales tax increase this past year. I have a feeling we're going to have the ability to lower the tax rate and continue to invest in quality of life infrastructure in our community. And so I think that's what, I think that's what we're saying.
Yeah, but until we see numbers, we don't know.
Right, but we can still say, as you're preparing a budget, because preparing a budget takes a little bit of time, You can't give everybody what they're asking for out here and give everybody what we want up here. So the city manager has to make some decisions, and this goal sheet gives him some priorities to look at.
Why do we have to adopt these goals?
We don't have
Why
to.
can't we just quantify? Why can't we wait until, like you said, we can quantify some of them during the budget process, and then we can decide what the goals are?
I think that's correct. I think he's got to present a preliminary budget the first time that we hear kind of what the tax rate is going to be and what kinds of things.
Part of the problem is for him to be able to come up and say, I'm gonna pay the fire department this much and the police department this much. He's gotta know what the council wants him to do, because we're the ones that say, this is the budget. And if we say, we're not gonna spend another dime in the fire department, we're not gonna spend another dime in the parks department, then he knows, okay, then there's this much money and how to apply it. So, well, that's kind of a catch-22.
Yeah, it's just part of the budget process.
That's part of the budget process.
Yeah.
One last.
So do we agree or not?
Go ahead, Mr.
One last comment I want to make, that the concept of pay as you go is that once we get all the valuation and sales tax and buy this, buy that, so we end up having like, let's say, $650,000 that we say, okay, let's buy the electronic for him, 50,000 and all that. That's the concept of pay as you go. The other concept is that some city do and some city don't. They say, okay, I have $650,000 cash. Let's go borrow $20 million, and then $650,000 is going to be the payment for 15 years. So when we we need to, again, I'll make an example of J. Park, that we can spend $50,000 or $100,000 a year, or use that, what we can afford, $50,000 or $100,000, go borrow $2 million and use that money to pay for that. I think we need to make a clear distinction of how we're going to approach our financial destiny. Do we want to do it, just go spend $100,000 each year until we complete it, or just reserve the $100,000 for bond payment, go borrow $5 million? Of course, I'm against borrowing big money, but that's not my call, that's your call.
Can we make it to where, I know we always talking about when it get down to this time, we want to stay at the current tax rate. And I just feel like that keeps Masood like sort of in bondage when he's trying to like come up with the preliminary budget. It's like, can we just make him, can Masood just come up with his numbers without us talking about the tax rate right now? Like,
well, we've been working on the budget since January.
yeah, I know, but
On
it just seems like they want
August-
you to stay here, don't go below this, don't go, we want to keep the tax rate the same, keep the tax rate the same.
No, it doesn't work like that. We submit a budget to you on
I'm trying
the
to do your
first
side,
meeting
so
in
you wasn't
August.
even listening. I was on your side, you wasn't even listening.
I'm sorry.
You go ahead and talk.
No, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No,
I was really trying to
no,
get-
we've been working on the budget since February, and on first meeting in August, we submit to you a balanced budget. And then from that point on, you have a month and a half to add to it, to change it, to delete, and make addition or deletion as you wish, and finalize it on the last meeting in September.
Any other questions?
One,
You act.
any other questions about what?
Go ahead.
Were you able to talk about?
Well, I kind of got the feel that we were looking that we would like, before we set these goals, that we postpone that until we see some numbers and then try and establish goals from there.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
if there's a
Getting
clarity
some
there,
dir-
if I misunderstood that, I'd like to know.
Giving some direction to the city manager as he's preparing those budgets, though, I would like to see, and it's in what I talked about last time, and it goes to what we were talking about earlier, just making sure we're paying market rate for all of our employees, not just police and fire, but market rate study. I don't know where Janice is. if we have a department. Yes.
Can you qualify market rate?
Yes. If we have I would say if we have a department or an area where we have a high turnover or places where we can't keep people employed, we need to look at that. Is the problem pay scale there? And it could be a lot of things, but you know, if we have parks jobs that are open at minimum wage, but we can't find anyone to work the minimum wage job because it's really, really hot. Well, okay, does it need to be higher, or do we need to not have those jobs? But if they just stay open, that's a problem. I know I've talked with you in the past where you were losing wastewater treatment plant guys like crazy. And so you've got to get the rate up so that you can keep people and not continue to train them. And so what it sounds like from the police, especially today, is that they're having a hard time even just filling the open spots that they have. And if that's a pay issue, in addition to whatever we're going to try to do as a overall help everybody out, if there's a place that's low, I'd like to get them up because it just seems to be a lot more expensive to lose people and replace them than it does to just keep the people you've got, especially in those more skilled positions.
Are you suggesting that just look at one department like police or citywide?
No, I'm saying you just look citywide and talk with your directors and say, if you're having a hard time keeping good employees here, and we're losing efficiencies with losing people that are trained and experienced and things like that, then maybe we need to up the rate a little bit to get it to where they're less likely to leave. You're always going to have some turnover.
So what benchmark do we use though? What should be our benchmark? We need to use a benchmark because we can, there's no end to that. If you don't use a benchmark, is a runaway train.
I understand. When and it's hard, and Jerry probably knows this better than anyone up here, and I don't. But you look to see where are your people going, I would think, and say, can I afford to lose them or not? Sometimes you have businesses that have a lot of turnover, and that's okay. You have business that people come in, maybe a teenager, and they work for a year or two, and then they graduate from high school and they go on and do something else. That's fine. But some jobs you have, experience has value. And so I don't know. I mean, you're the manager. You're managing the people, and I just don't want to have an organization where we're losing skilled, quality people, and it's hurting the efficiency of our organization because we don't have we're not able to keep positions filled.
Are any of the comparison cities growing as like Greenville? Or are they growing at the same rate? The comparison cities, are all of them growing at the same rate as Greenville?
Some of them probably more.
Cleveland seems to be doing really well.
More successful than we are.
And yeah, so I mean, I do not think that having comparison cities is a bad benchmark. I think that is a good benchmark. I think that gives you a broad overview. But sometimes, even in a broad overview, you're okay, but there are individual isolated spots where you're underpaying people or overpaying people. You know, I mean, and where you just say, okay, we're going to give a 2% raise to everybody or 3% raise to everybody, you may not close that gap here, and you may be overpaying somebody over here. So I'd like a little more strategic, surgical, I guess, approach at the pay raises, because you know we're hiring 2 police officers that we're going to pay. We're going to pay them to go through the academy. We're going to pay for them to ride along and learn what they're supposed to do. And a year from now, they're going to be out on the street on their own. That's a lot of payment for somebody that's not doing anything right now. Does that make sense?
Part of our issue too right here is like the elementary teacher, you can go to McKinney and make $15,000 more. Very same job, very same duties, $15,000 difference. You look at the per capita income in Greenville, which is, varies between 19 and 21,000. Last couple of years, it stays around that 20,000 mark. McKinney per capita income is a whole lot more. That's the tax base. It's can we afford, and that's where we're getting comparison cities. That's why McKinney is not a good comparison city for us, because we don't have a tax base and we can't afford it. And that's why, again, I go back to teachers again. It's my life, I guess. Yeah, we lose some.
They roll about 20% a year the last several years, right at 20%, sometimes a little over. And again, it's what we can afford in this town without turning all the taxpayers away too. It's a mixture.
I agree.
It's a
Okay,
mixture.
guys, I understand where you're headed. The question I've got is, do we want to try and identify goals tonight? Or do we want to postpone this so that we get some numbers and then we will identify specific goals?
I move we postpone goals until we have time to quantify, do some more quantification.
I'll second that.
But I'd like to comment just a little bit on Brent, what Brent said, and I don't necessarily disagree with you, but part of what you assumed was is that we are losing people. I don't even know if that's true or not. Maybe you do, I don't know if that's true or not. And secondly, well, I'm a very lucky person. I had a passion for every job I had from the time I moved to Greenville, Texas. I loved everything I did. But I had about 150 people working for me. And I could walk through the office and I could look and I could see which ones weren't happy. And the people that aren't happy eventually leave for other jobs. And it really doesn't matter if they're paid parity pay or whatever. The only thing I'm saying is what you're trying to, if you could do that, you could probably make a lot of money besides serving on the city council, because it's a very difficult thing to quantify. That's all I'm saying. I don't know how you do what you're asking. I think that's the import of his question, response to you. How are you going to quantify that? How do you measure it? I mean, maybe somebody wants to live in Rockwall, Texas. It has nothing to do with their job.
Yeah, and I don't know. And
Maybe somebody, separated from their, or divorced or whatever, and they moved away. I mean, there's literally dozens of reasons why people don't stay in jobs. I don't know how you quantify that.
I'm more concerned maybe with the fact that we have 6 spots open and only 2 people there. It's like, where are the other 4 that are gonna roll right into it? That probably has concerned me more about what the chief said than even that we have 6 that are missing, is that we don't have a batch of people we can pull from quickly and fill those spots. So I don't know the answer to your question. I think it's a valid point. And I've said a lot of times, if all you do is raise a person's pay that's there, a lot of times you're just getting a more expensive version of the same thing you were getting before. I mean, I understand that. But when you have open spots that you can't fill, that's concerning.
Okay, I have a motion.
One more thing to add to that, it's not just the city, it's this area. You go back to like the school today, I was reviewing the job postings in the school district right now. The school's coming up in a few weeks. Tremendous, I'm gonna say that I should use the word tremendous, there are a lot of openings in the school district too. Maybe we need to look at what's causing this in our town.
All right. Enough discussion. I have a motion to postpone this until we have better understanding of the dollars. I've got a motion, second. Please vote. All right, passes 7-0. All right, we are moving on. City staff, city council report. Anybody got anything from the subcommittee? All right, anything, next item is council discussions, anything for proposed agenda at the next meeting?
Did we decide we were going to hear something back about the animal shelter at some point?
We requested that they look at volunteers and also how they could be open like on a Saturday, and asked them to come back. Can you arrange that we can hear on that, please? Sure. Anything else?
Well, I just noticed, and there may not be anything we can do about it, but when those big trucks are traveling on Business 69 south to turn behind, I think that's Motel 8, and there's a car wash, I think it's Benton Drive, I think. There is a manhole on the north side of that entrance that gets them into, I think it's a Quick Check.
Quick Trip.
Get it quick, thank you.
Quick Trip.
Quick Trip.
Quick Trip.
Quick Trip, pardon me. I love it, by the way, I love it. I love the hot dogs. So they have a hard time turning. It's not,
George can speak to that.
well, you don't have to speak to it, but I'm just,
We-
it may need to be looked at so that we don't run over the pinhole, and maybe it needs
It's
to be
been,
banned out.
it's been an issue with Public Works and with police.
Okay.
And we have been dealing with TxDOT. We have some plans that TxDOT has okayed for us to take care of that. Lower the manhole, widen or lengthen that curve so they won't hang up.
Okay.
It's a matter of time and whatever,
Thank
but
you.
it's in the
I knew you
works.
were already on it.
It's in the
Thank you.
works.
Okay.
All right, Kenny? Speak up, I can't hear.
Okay, we did have a subcommittee meeting on
We can't hear. We'll have to have that on the agenda. Okay. Anything else for the agenda?
Yeah, one more thing, this isn't for the agenda, but, well, maybe it is for the agenda. We had Holly and I had a meeting with a hotel developer this past, not hotel, apartment developer this last week. She just contacted me kind of out of the blue and said that she was interested in building a senior housing apartment complex in our town and was told that she couldn't. And she sent me a copy of a letter dated February 9th, 2017, from our city manager to the Department of Housing and Community Affairs that says the City of Greenville respectfully declines to provide a written statement of support for this application. We firmly object to the allocation of housing tax credit for this development due to the number of units per capita, blah, blah, blah. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I'm concerned, I'm more than concerned, I'm frustrated that this letter was sent without something being brought to council.
Okay, we can bring that up and talk about it as agenda. I don't want to get into a long discussion here.
I would like for when the city speaks on a policy issue for that to come from council.
I think we have spoke on that on several occasions when people have come in and requested that for zoning changes. And the city has said, no, we don't want any more of
Not
those.
since I've been on council, I don't believe.
Well, it's happened since I've been on there and you got
Okay,
on
we
the
got on the
same
same
time I
day.
did. Yeah, so.
Well,
Anyway, we'll put
I
that
would
on
like
the
to
agenda.
discuss that.
Any other items for the agenda? All right, moving on. Any questions on the board and commission minutes? All right. I don't believe we have anything for the executive session. Therefore, at 7:31, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for attending.
We live in a world of technology. We're always connected. Everything is based on technology. What do you do when your technology breaks down? You call Digital Solutions. Located on Wesley Street in Greenville, Digital Solutions Technology Partners is there to get you fixed up. From business support to home computer repair, Digital Solutions Technology Partners will get your tech issues resolved. Visit us online at www.techresolve.com or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/DSTPI. You can call our office at 903-259-6418.